Songja and Yongchi are two friends who grew up together in an orphanage. In the middle of a tough life, the two of them have grown up together and lived. No father, no mother, no family. They don't know who they are and where they come from. The only thing they have is a backpack full of trash and a smelly bottle. Even their food is not clean. When it comes to rice, it's a mess. When it comes to fish, it's a mess. Although they have to work hard during the day, at night, they don't even have a bag. All night long, the two of them have been under a thin, cold blanket until their feet are swollen. They thought they were suffering to the point where their feet were swollen. Unexpectedly, life has been tough, but fate still likes to make fun of the two of them. A beautiful morning, while they were dreaming of a bright future, the outside world really broke through the house. The sound of the air was ringing, waking up the two of them from their dreams. Before they could wake up, they saw a group of people in the pond bringing special clothes to clean up the two of them. The two of them looked at each other like they were looking at two huge debts. Why are the two of them still trying to live here while he has told both of them to move a long time ago? Looking at the house being demolished by other people, Eon immediately went crazy and ran to block it. Not long after, the two of them were arrested for self-defense. There, the two of them were tortured in the true sense of the word. Each slap was so painful that the two people lost consciousness. The face of the pot had nothing to show, but it was clear that it was a sign of violence from some British men. Just then, the elder of the group, Hung Ho, stepped in. Today he came to collect his subordinates to prepare to destroy a political conference. Just stepped in, he immediately asked Park Chang-bae how many people they had in their hands. Park Chang-bae with a little voice replied that there were only about 40 people. Hearing this, Kang Ji-woo's face immediately turned greener than the banana leaf boat. Han Kao-mei expressed dissatisfaction with this small number. Then he turned to the two brothers, who were standing next to him, asking who these two names were. Park Chang-bae replied, "These two are in our plan area because they were too much, so they were arrested by the brothers." Hearing this, Kang Ji-woo was stunned for a moment, then nodded with a sad face. Their situation was so serious that they could have pulled a mosquito net along. No need to think too much, he decided to take the two brothers to the car. In fact, it was not a simple slap, just a fight. So not long after, the two brothers were on the car of the gang. On their car, they began to listen to the orders given by Kang Ji-woo. After listening to the old-fashioned rules, they felt that this mission was not too complicated. They just had to pretend to be normal until the conference started, then make a mess a bit. If they were brave, they could break the wall and interrupt the lecture. As soon as the order was issued, all the people immediately acted as if they were on a rope. No one hesitated, no one was afraid of all the gang members rushing into the hall like an army was waiting. Everyone was extremely serious when they absolutely listened to the instructions from above. Hand in hand, they did not want to say a word, but just went straight in and started smashing everything. Jongja and Yeonki were a little slower, so they had to go to the back. But the scene in front of them made the two brothers stand like a tree, because they did not dare to believe their eyes. Before that, they even thought that this was just a small fight, but they did not expect everything to be so serious. At that moment, Yeonki's belly began to react violently. This may be the consequence of drinking too much milk for free before the battle. Unable to bear the pain, he immediately hugged his belly and ran out of the scene straight to the toilet. While Yeonki was struggling with the pain in his belly, Jongja stayed on the battlefield and quickly entered the fight. He continued to make accurate punches that made the face of the enemy's face broken. Every punch was clearly not in line with the movement to show the skill of overcoming the battle. A few more seconds, the two of them were crushed by the camera. In the middle of a chaotic place, Jongja still stood out like a bright mirror. But once it was a mirror, it had to be bright everywhere for others to see. So his performance quickly attracted the attention of Captain Jiuju. Just looking at the way you act with your eyes, others will be surprised and satisfied. While the outside was chaotic like a 12-story storm, the inside of Yeonki's toilet was no worse than a storm. Yeonki at that time was not in time to clean his butt and was forced to hold the trash bin next to him as a weapon. Not in time to understand what was happening, he fell on his knees. Outside, Jongja was still fighting with a fierce spirit. He fought like he didn't know how tired he was, but he didn't know who his father was. But then the police siren went off to alert the intervention of the force. Captain Juju immediately notified the whole team to retreat before being caught. Not hesitating, Jongja immediately ran around looking for him. But when he returned to the toilet where his brother had been hiding, there was no trace of him. Yeonki's sudden disappearance at that time had become a turning point in the lives of the two brothers. From that moment on, their fate had turned in two completely different directions. After returning home, Jongja still didn't see his brother anywhere. In a sense of unease on the second day, he decided to go to the place where the weapon was once again. Jongja just got to the place where Park Chang-bai used an uncomfortable attitude to ask what he was doing here. But Jongja didn't care about that attitude, and just asked to see if any of them had seen Yeon-ki return yesterday. At this time, Kang Ju-soo just saw his face, and felt that he should only say a few politer words with the intention to chase him away quickly. However, Jongja did not give up his fight and went straight to the face of the old man seriously. Jongja said that he was very good at fighting, and that if he stayed, he could very likely find a clue about his brother. In front of a stern attitude, Kang Ju-soo changed his mind, and he decided to admit Jongja. Not only that, he also took him to his own house. A rare love for a newcomer. When he got to Kang Ju-soo's daughter's house, he even sneaked into the kitchen to prepare a private meal to invite Jongja. From the time he had a blue nose to the time he grew up, Jongja had never met a beautiful girl like that. Her sudden appearance made him shy to the point that he did not dare to look straight at her once. When the girl left, his eyes were still wide open, like they had been bewitched. From childhood to now, Jongja only lives on corn flour and instant noodles. So when he saw such a hearty bowl of rice, his appetite was uncontrollable. No matter how much time passed, he hurriedly took a big piece of rice. He had eaten so deliciously for so long that he knew how to eat rice properly. While eating, Kang Ju-soo began to talk nonsense about Jongja's past. He did not hide it, but told that he was a young boy, a big girl in the orphanage, and always lived next to Yeon-ki. Both childhoods of the two people are connected to each other because they rely on each other to exist. That night, when it was time to go to bed, Kang Ju-soo carefully took the girl to Jongja. At that time, Jongja felt as if he had found a place to rest after a long day. But he didn't know that it was just the beginning of a day full of love and flirting. He fell into a swamp where the deeper he dug, the more he couldn't get his feet out. That night, when Jongja was lying on a warm mattress, enjoying a comfortable and safe feeling that he had never known before, the outside was buzzing with a scream like someone used a knife to stab him in the dark night. Emotionally, he immediately opened the door and rushed out without thinking. The scene hit the eye, making Jongja have no time to think. A stranger was playing with a man who had just extended his arm for him. Jongja immediately threw a stone at the opponent. After solving the problem, Jongja quickly switched to defense. He was determined to protect the man who gave him the first house in his life. But Jongja didn't even have time to breathe when another killer appeared. In the darkness, both Jongja and the other guy were like two beasts that kept coming. On one side was a young boy who had just stepped into the world of martial arts. On the other side was a killer who had carried a lot of combat experience inside him. The struggle was too obvious, but Jongja was not upset. The other killer probably didn't want to waste his energy on an unnecessary battle, so he withdrew in silence. Nevertheless, this clash still left a devastating consequence. A close brother of Kang Ji-woo-soo fell down and never stood up again. The next day, people began to prepare a funeral for their teammates. Meanwhile, everyone was in pain to worry about the sudden appearance of Taegon. He is not only the great-grandfather of Kang Ji-woo-soo, but also a government official. It was Taegon who had ordered Kang Ji-woo-soo to destroy the previous political conference. However, now the incident has been exposed on the newspaper and has become difficult to avoid. Taegon did not stay long, just said a few short, heavy-handed sentences and quickly left. After Taegon left the funeral in the coldness, the cruel Kang Ji-woo-soo was no longer as calm as ever. He silently called Jongja and caught Chang-bai to a corner, beginning to discuss the future of the gang. For Jongja, those words were like a sharp knife straight into the heart. You haven't had time to rest in peace after a night of mourning. You have to hear the truth. During his time, Kang was injured. Many of his close brothers were repeatedly harmed. The rest of the gang also did not feel sad because the gang escaped alone. Now what is called the gang was just a piece of wood in the middle of the night. Kang Ji-woo-soo laughed and clearly announced the disbandment of his gang. Time flies like the way a bicycle is cut off. Just a few years have passed since that fateful day. Eon, who was lost in the middle of a chaotic battle in the last meeting, also appeared. He has joined the opposition, which is also the organization of Changdaeokje, a powerful underground force that has been covered up by people. He is no longer a nameless Eon, who is now a tyrant under his boss's leadership. Changdaeokje is not only a cruel man, but also a political strategist. He is looking for every way to win the government's heart in order to infiltrate the power system. Therefore, a huge amount of cash in each suitcase is constantly pushed to the hands of officials, with the aim of buying back the future. In 1970, the land in Korea was almost priceless. But that is the piece of fertile land to make a living. Tourists clearly understand that this land is small, but the population is increasing uncontrollably. So whoever owns a lot of land will get gold right away. Everyone thinks so. So the war for the land began to erupt. That is why the image of a tyrant destroying and stealing the land is no longer rare. If anyone dares to block the way, there is no need to negotiate, but to directly turn gold into gold. And in the end, he found a job in the environment, working as a military security guard for the store. The former subordinate of Kang Ji-soo, and Kang Ji-soo also became a brother of him. Today a man came to ask him to solve a person, because he had cheated and took all his land ownership certificates. After hearing the conversation for a while, Jong-sak did not think much and directly agreed. He directly went to the office with the name of the liar to consult him on where the land ownership certificates were. This name was initially determined not to admit his mistake. It was until Jong-sak pulled out a pair of scissors and decided to cut off his work tools. Then this name was revealed that he had sold it to a woman named Min Seong-hee. Jong-sak returned home after receiving the news. The first thing was to bring the money given to Kang Ji-soo, saying that this was this month's salary. But Kang Ji-soo, since the disbandment, has opened a small tailor shop. Seeing Jong-sak bring the money, Kang Ji-soo said that he did not need to bring it anymore. Then he said that Jong-sak should have his own life. Then the two people held a grand birthday party for Jong-sak. They decided to choose the day that Jong-sak stepped into Kang Ji-soo's house to celebrate his birthday. But while everyone was having a good time, the shop owner came to look for Jong-sak, because Kang Ji-soo's tailor shop was his loan to open. Jong-sak went to work here to pay off his debt to Kang Ji-soo. Now the owner of the tailor shop has found the money at the doorstep. Because the amount of money that Kang Ji-soo borrowed has not been paid yet, the owner did not admit it. He even said that if he did not pay off all his debts a week later, he would burn down this tailor shop. But this scene was also seen by Jong-sak behind the door. So on the second day, Jong-sak immediately followed that liar to meet Min Seong-hui. Just meeting Min Seong-hui, Jong-sak immediately said that he had heard about Jong-sak's situation. But Jong-sak's skin began to swell because he knew that sitting in front of him was a prostitute. Then he directly borrowed 400 million to take care of his family's urgent business. At the same time, he promised to pay off all his debts within 4 months. But the tailor also said that in our field it is very rare to find such a handsome man. So Min Seong-hui agreed with Jong-sak's request, but she also had another request. It was recently that Min Seong-hui met a prostitute, so she could not buy that piece of land. So she needed Jong-sak to help her get that piece of land. But at this time there were two guests who were also talking about a shocking conspiracy. Because Kim Jong-il is preparing to participate in the next election. But the money Jong-sak had at the moment was not enough to build the empire, so Jong-sak came up with a great plan. That is to take advantage of the terrible population overload in Seoul, to propose to President Reng that the southern region of Seoul could be annexed in the future, so they can buy the land first to get a huge profit. Jong-sak's subordinates immediately took action to make it hot. But at this time Jong-sak also took Min Seong-hui to that land. Min Seong-hui went to the farmer to bargain and thought that 100 million was enough to buy this piece of land. But he didn't even want to see her take a piece of land, not to mention the price to pay. At this time, Chang Deok-jae came to talk to Min Seong-hui in front of the farmer that this land would turn into a park. He heard that as soon as he ran out of the field, he saw that the government was measuring his piece of land. In the end, he only needed 30 million to get the piece of land in his hand. After getting the land paper, Min Seong-hui started advertising. The use of media made the price of the land constantly rise. In the end, the value of the piece of land increased 5-fold compared to the original price. Min Seong-hui earned the money and began to look into the sky with another eye. She took out a large amount of money and asked him to do one more thing for her. That is to bury the land paper of a hidden person. Chang Deok-jae received the mission and immediately began to look for it in a pile of documents. Turned over and over again, he also found the old lake. But right at this moment, a group of people rushed in and made the two people panicked. But luckily those people didn't look for them, but they were here to harm another person. But the name of the person who was smoking was recognized by Chang Deok-jae. He was the one who assassinated Mr. Kang that night. But lying in his sleep, he also did not expect the story. The person being executed over there is the brother Eun-ki, who has been missing for a long time. Seeing the situation was not good, Chang Deok-jae clung to the back. However, only a moment later they decided to bury Eun-ki alive, because the person who turned Eun-ki into gold by the lake was the one who belonged to this organization. So now they have to turn gold Eun-ki to protect. In the middle of the situation, thousands of kilograms of hair in Chang Deokje's skin are not dangerous. This guy with a shaking head. Do you want to get out of the earth? Do you like the smell of the earth to get used to not letting me practice for you? This is not allowed by parents to go to school in this manner anymore. After solving all their problems, Chang Deokje jumped into the lake to help Yeonki wake up. How long has it been since the brothers had the opportunity to meet face to face and hug each other for a long time? Then Chang Deokje took Yeonki home to Mr. Kang for treatment. But Mr. Kang said that after Yeonki left, he was not mentioned in Chang Deokje's name. He did not want Chang Deokje to be bothered by the old love because he was a normal person. A moment later, Chang Deokje asked Yeonki where he had gone that year. Yeonki said that at that time, he was on the wrong side of the bus, but did not know. Then he thought that he would wait for himself to be better, and then find it, so he did not look for Chang Deokje. After saying that, Yeonki immediately told Chang Deokje to go back to his place in the UK. Now that Yeonki's subordinates have spread all over the area, they can divide Chang Deokje in half. Chang Deokje also laughed very happily and said that he would have a chance to go later. After arranging everything for Yeonki, Chang Deokje came to find her to give the documents. Seeing the documents, Yeonki immediately withdrew 100 million VND on the table. But what Chang Deokje wanted was not money, but what he wanted was the land document. Yeonki heard that and felt a little bit sorry for himself. At this time, Chang Deokje suddenly came and put a hot kiss on her lips. Yeonki was stunned by the kiss, but still silently accepted the act. Chang Deokje also went directly to a part of the land document. After that, Chang Deokje told Yeonki that he wanted to get to know more people upstairs. Chang Deokje heard this and wanted to introduce Chang Deokje to Taegon. But to get to know him, you need to have an investment certificate. After the two of them finished their work, Chang Deokje told Chang Deokje that Taegon had a thorn in his eye. If that person lives forever, then Taegon's way back will be extremely difficult. At this time, Chang Deokje immediately came up with a surprising plan. At the same time, Yeonki was chatting with his sister-in-law in the car. The two of them had been in love for a long time, but now his sister-in-law is being called by Yeonki to live with him. So the two of them won't have a chance to do bad things again. So his sister-in-law wants Yeonki to say that she doesn't want to go. But how can Yeonki say this again, because it's not fair at all? He didn't think he'd end up being called by Yeonki. Seeing Yeonki not willing, his sister-in-law was also angry and got out of the car. But unfortunately, the two lovers were discovered by a subordinate of Yeonki. Yeonki just saw that it was the most annoying story ever, because the other party saw that he was too fast, so he wanted Yeonki to share a share. He himself did not expect to be caught in such a special scene again, so he took advantage of this weakness of Yeonki. Yeonki was just scolded by his woman, and now he was bullied by a small subordinate. He was so angry that he directly sent the other name on the road. But he turned himself into his gold with Yeonki, which is the biggest sin. Yeonki can only force his way out to deal with that cold body. At the same time, he also admits that he should not be provoked to deal with him. If after being discovered, he did not know if he was gelded by Yeonki. Hearing this, Jongja immediately spoke out about his plan. That is to let him and Yeonki work together for Taegon. Now the need to pretend to be just a subordinate of his Yeonki is a big job. I think it makes the two of them not say much but directly go to work. So Jongja came to find the name of Yeonki's subordinate first, because the name of the subordinate is the subordinate of Yeonki. If Jongja wants to deal with a Yeonki, he has to break the defense layer as soon as possible, not to mention the name of the subordinate, that all of Yeonki's subordinates go out forever under Jongja's hand, like when he stabbed Kang's leg, because in Jongja's heart he saw Kang as his father. But while Jongja was dealing with the name of the subordinate, Kim Jong-kyu's subordinate was not spared. According to Jongja's plan, all of Yeonki's subordinates were handled beautifully. After Jongja cooperated with Yeonki to handle the name of Yeonki, a soldier breathed a sigh of relief. Waiting for everything to be over, Min Seong introduced Jongja to Taegon. Waiting for Min Seong to leave, Jongja said that he had met Taegon in the past. It was on the day that Kang held a funeral for his brother, and he was the subordinate of Kang Ji-soo. Hearing this, Taegon remembered that he had not seen Kang for a long time. So he said so Jongja must also know about Yeonki. So if you want to follow him, there must be something to ensure. After that, Taegon said he wanted Jongja to handle Yeonki to help him. But Jongja said he had handled it cleanly before. After that, Jongja immediately jumped to a new level, and all of his subordinates had to perform the ceremony with him. Taegon announced in front of everyone that later Jongja would be the boss of them. Just like that, Jongja successfully stepped on the chair of the boss of a whole gang. Previous aspirations have no longer been fulfilled. After that, Jongja called Yeonki to talk about wanting the two brothers to work together. But Yeonki said in front of Yeonki and Taegon that he had no doubt that he wanted to stay there, because Yeonki did not want to leave what Jangseon had built. He also wanted to cooperate with Jongja to play a big role to solve both Yeonki and Taegon, so he could take over the territory of Yeonki and Taegon. But Jongja said he not only wanted to expand the territory, but also wanted this whole south to be in his hands. Hearing this, Yeonki was also surprised because he did not expect Jongja's ambition to be so big. He saw that all the places he had just passed through were his land. It sounds good because the bigger the land, the more money. Let's just wait and see, someday we will be rich. After becoming the boss, Jongja began to work for Taegon. He began to guide his subordinates on how to attract women. He had to use exaggerated methods to keep them happy. But they had a purpose to prepare such a camp. They wanted to trick women from the countryside, to bring them land to sell. The more he did this, the faster the contract was signed. Very quickly, Jongja had tricked almost all the women in this area. The land papers of the women were all sold to them at a very low price. Using a few tricks to harm the children of high-ranking officials made their father unable not to hand over the land. Taegon also highly evaluated Jongja's ability to work. But how to work like that? What to do to avoid getting caught? As soon as Jongja just sent Taegon away, he was immediately beaten from behind. By the time Jongja woke up, he had been beaten to a pulp. But the one who beat Jongja was Yeonki-tak, not anyone else. He always asked who the land papers had been given to. Jongja replied that it was all given to Taegon, it was too late. Yeonki-tak was angry to the point of cursing. Yeonki-tak was a brother, but he could only stare at Jongja being beaten to a full body. After being beaten, he immediately contacted Kang Ji-soo. If you don't think about how to bring the land papers back, and take the body of the boy. Then Jongja was beaten to a pulp by Yeonki-tak. Looking at Jongja being beaten to a pulp, Yeonki-tak told Jongja to bring a bowl of noodles for him. Anyway, before the action there was always the last meal. But when Jongja did not pay attention, he immediately spat out a knife. But Jongja was standing outside waiting for Kang Ji-soo. Just when Kang Ji-soo came out, he was forced to see the person first. So Yeonki-tak immediately ordered Jongja to bring Jongja here. But Jongja was just about to kick Jongja out, so he gave him a chance to kick him out. Those standing outside heard the gunshot. But very quickly the two sides reacted directly to the fight. Kang Ji-soo himself had led a powerful faction. Even though he had been hidden for a long time, he was still very strong. Fortunately, his side won and Jongja was only injured externally. On the other hand, Yeonki-tak's deal inadvertently made him angry, cursing each person. A member of the faction said that perhaps it was because of our internal conflict. Yeonki-tak heard the anger and could not stand it. For a long time,